Okay, so on the show today, we have a guest speaker. His name is Alex. And okay, for today's topic, or for this episode, we'll be treating a controversial topic kind of. And the topic is, does beating a child really change the child? Like, what's your opinion? I'd like to hear from you all. But yeah, let's just, let's know what they have on their minds. For me, it actually doesn't change the child. Like I said, we start with that guest.
Yeah, thank you everyone. My name is Alex, as she said. Well, looking at the topic we're on today, beating the child or really changing the child, it depends on the kind of background you're raising the child. If it's from the street side, like we have in Nigeria, we have the street and the on-street one. So the on-street ones, you don't beat them. But the street, that's to be fire for fire. Because when child starts to mix with people in the environment, they get to turn out very, very bad. Although sometimes beating them doesn't really help. Speaking from my own background, I grew up in the streets. and beating me was really helpful though, but it got to a point whereby I noticed that, okay, if I have to do this, I have to do it. It doesn't matter beating. I love football so much. I know if I play football after school, if I don't read my books, once my mom to come back, or my dad, and find out that you went out to play football, shit, you're in trouble. Even my elder brother had to quit football. So they will beat us and beat. But it got to a stage, I was like, okay, I know I'm going to get the beating of my life. So I will do it till I get satisfied. So if that can go through your mind as a child, trust me, no matter the beating, you continue doing it. You never change.
Very true.
And if you tend to advise your child, talk to him, sit him down like, okay, I'm not your mother. I'm your brother, I'm your sister. Talk to him, let him understand, okay, if you do this, I'll get this for you. If you don't do this, what can I do to it? I'll see how to work. Trust me. It's will be a better position for you, for you to change. But if there's some child, like I said, on the background, there are some people you don't have to talk to them, you don't have to change it.
Yeah.
You have to break their head. Yes, now. It's the truth. So if you try to talk to the child and the child is not changing, you have to change it. Flog the child, beat the child very much so that the child will know, okay, if I do this next time, I'll be able to. I won't do it again. So I think beating the child helps also doesn't help.
Okay, for me, well, I'll start from where you ended. Beating your child helps and it doesn't help. Beating a child doesn't necessarily mean the child will actually change, because when you beat a child continuously, they get immune to it. It's not just when I was small, when I was in primary school, there's this thing you say, you dust the kid. So when the teacher beats you, just dust it and go back to your seat and then, that's the end. You continue doing what you were doing. The next time, you're doing it, you say, okay, let me prepare for the game. Today I must not cry.
Yeah.
Gradually you get immune to it. Whenever they beat you, you just feel like it's normal. On the other end, I think it also helps because, like you said, some children, beating a child also helps, but the extent at which you beat a child should be moderate. Don't beat a child like the child is a criminal.
We have some kids that are good.
It doesn't matter. Don't just beat a child anyhow. No! I mean, you beat a child and then you're seeing brain marks, swollen marks, injury, blood. No, I don't think that is appropriate. No matter what, even teachers, parents, if you like, say that you're born now. No, I don't think it's appropriate.
I'll say this happens because the kind of community we grow is like, just look at the whites.
Yeah.
They'll never touch you.
Yeah.
Never, because they believe there's a level to which the child and the mother understand each other, or the father. So they tend to talk. They tend to talk to each other, okay, reason with the child, see where they can come in, or if not, they can go outside and bring someone in to come and talk to the child. But here in Nigeria, my mom won't come and call someone else in the next apartment to come and follow me. She will do it herself. So you get.
Yeah. I an auntie here in Nigeria, she doesn't flog her children. So what she just does is, okay, the children already know that punishment corner means you've done something wrong. And you say, are you naughty? Say, no mommy, I'm not naughty. Are you going to be naughty next time? No mommy, I'm not going to be naughty. You know, they understand. There's this emotional attachment. You know, you can come in emotionally rather than beating the child, adding violence and violence. Like, it doesn't, like, just just emotionally attach yourself to the child. You don't have to beat the child. You know, if you do this, I'm not going to take you out. Children have that soft spot, and children are like this. Wherever you beat them, no matter where it is, no matter when it is, they'll always come back to you. Right, Chinenye? What do you have to say?
Okay, so for me, beating a child does not change a child at all. Like, if I want to be a rebel, I'll be a rebel. You can't change that part of me. Okay, like growing up in my family, I understood that very early. My dad would say it takes the grace of God to actually train up a child. And then there's a certain age you get to. My dad is like, I've told God that I've washed my hands off you. So whatever you do, you are very responsible for it. And you know, whatever consequences that comes afterwards, you are also very responsible. So growing up, my dad just touched me like once. And it was for a very funny reason. Very funny. Because I didn't get night wear to sleep. I can't forget that day because my cousins came from overseas and you know, okay, in the morning we do this devotion in the house, and then you know that morning everybody all dressed in their nightwears, me and my siblings, we are just anything goes, like probably the home clothes we used the previous day. And then my dad flogged us, and after I finished flogging us, he now told us the reason. I had to look at this man again. Are you sure all this way? But then my dad doesn't like you actually beating a child because you really don't know. Children will always be children. You really don't know what they are learning from that thing. It can give them a different impression about life. It can give them a bitter training that will now make them become something you don't want in the future. You just wake up the next day, probably years later, after the child is all grown. You now hear this how he beats up people every day. And to him, he feels that's the right thing to do. So somehow you are actually making them low-key learn what you are teaching them. But my dad, he sort of like made us understand that okay, this is what is right and this is what is evil. So it depends on wherever you want to go. But at the same time, like I said, that emotional attachment, like they all said, is very key. When I do something, you know, my prayer is always to make my parents proud wherever I am. And then if I do something and then my dad is like, I don't like what you did. Me, I'm someone that is very soft. I have soft spots for words. So if you tell me I don't like what you did and I know that I really love this person, I'll feel very bad about it. The very first time my daddy told me I'm disappointed in you, to my face. I don't know, like for a month, I think everything in my life was just it was on standstill because I just felt like, oh, I'm disappointed my father, and then he just couldn't keep it anymore. He had to say it. So that emotional attachment actually teaches them. You teach them to love. You teach them to. You correct people with love. Actually, even the Bible says it. So instead of beating your child and making it a habit and instilling whatever behavior you instill in them, like much later when they grow up, try and change them with love. It might not be easy. You can just shout, "Yeah, leave this place," and then when the child comes and it's like, "Daddy, mommy, I want this, I want that," and then you just speak with that, very angry eye. You don't have to beat the child. That whole expression passes the message already. That way, the child would actually gradually change. The child will know that, okay, because if you beat me, I will prepare for it the next time. Like, after beating me, I'll be like, okay, you beat me, I did not die, So next time when you tell me what to beat me, I'm like, no problem, happy beating. And then I'll still go back to whatever I'm doing. So it didn't actually change me. It's just gradually instilling some kind of bitterness that probably when I now grow up, I'll now feel that that's the right thing to do. Anybody that wrongs me, I should just beat the person. After all, that's what my parents taught me. So, in conclusion, beating a child doesn't change a child.
Okay, so I'd like to add one thing to what you said before I go to my next question for both of you. Okay, so I feel you said something about giving the child books or something. I feel that can also cause like low self-esteem when the child is not able to speak out because if I speak, people will look at me somehow. If I talk, people will do this. If I act, people will do do this. So most times you find people that children that they shout at or speak to like that. You find them in one corner on their own. They don't really have friends, and then they get panic attacks because they are scared to speak, so people don't shout at them. So I mean, I think that is actually this kind of training a child is not
So
easy.
wait, yes, like you would remember the first thing I said was it takes the grace of God to train a child. Yes, I have a kid brother, he's just 8. There are times he just decides to frustrate me unnecessarily. He just decides to step on my nerve, and I'm like, get out of my room, don't come back. And he's somebody that is just like me too. He has that soft spot. Like me telling you not to come back, I'm not literally meaning that you should not come back. But then when you come back, I expect that you realize that whatever you did at that point was not the best, and then you should probably come back and apologize. And if in a case the child is still trying to be, strong-headed, I'll just say you just leave the child for a while. It depends on how your mind, tells you to go. You leave the child for a while. Then later, when you are now prepared, you come back and you be like, okay, the reason I shouted at you is this. I don't like this. Don't do this again. Like I said, the Bible said, correct everybody with love. So it is just you having that, strong will and zeal to actually change somebody. Yes, you can actually, by shouting at them or, giving them a particular look, could make them feel that low self-esteem, kind of aura. But then you would always just come back. It's just a way to fix everything. That way, gradually the child knows that, when I did this, my mommy looked at me in a kind of way. I didn't like the way she looked at me, and I wouldn't want her to look at me that way again. So it is just the child, trying to. Children are very smart actually, and they are watchful. So in a way, you are gradually helping that child to understand that the fact that they beat other people and I don't beat you doesn't mean I can't stand up and decide to descend on you. But then I choose this way. You should understand this from my own perspective. Like me, growing up in the family I grew up, if there's anything I'm scared of is to disappoint my parents at any point in time. Like once I just do something I know that is wrong, just probably after venting, later on, I will now come back and be like, okay, I'm sorry, it's because I was angry. So somehow, if you are training your child and giving that child the understanding that, that I chose not to beat you doesn't mean I won't train you, or doesn't mean you don't be a bad person, the person will not forget it in the future. But if you keep beating the child, you're just instilling some, sort of bitterness, and later the child will grow up thinking, okay, anybody that does wrong to me, I'll beat the person uselessly. Or if my children do this to me, I'll beat the person. What if while beating the child just dies, who gives up? What would be your excuse? That you were trying to beat the child to change, which is not very realistic.
So my next question is okay, it's not really a question. Let's move to the school aspect.
Okay.
So most teachers, they beat children, make noise in class, they beat you. Why? Because they don't want you to make noise again. And teachers, I feel, or I know most of them, they don't try to emotionally connect with children. Because a teacher will flog you and tell you, I'm sorry for flogging you, don't do this again.
Yes, that's very nice.
So once the class captain brings the noise paper and noise makers list, and they say Pamela times 20, Chineke times 40, Alex times 100. After the flogging, the teacher doesn't apologize. The teacher doesn't appeal to you or something.
I think in the aspect of academia, or let me say school aspect,
Yeah.
when you have number of like 100 students in class,
Yeah.
you can't talk to them.
True.
If I call 100 today, don't make me understand. I want you to do it. Will I do that to 100 students?
No.
So the best way to do for teachers, the best way to do it is bring out the game and put that fear in there. I will throw all of you, like just fire out. That fear is there. Like my principal in school, I'm very scared of you. But it got to a point, I was scared of you. You beat me to do, you beat you on the palm, your back. It got to my feet.
Wow.
You can imagine because we are all good. But this is I don't know. When it comes to school part, I think there is more can be done. Instead of just flogging the children, I think they can just have like normal, like what the prep, where you just get those students, sit them down, and lecture them on some things that they ought to be doing. Because now, if you look at students now, they are all going
Yeah.
so they are doing the wrong thing now.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I'm to come in, I remember this adage, charity begins at home. So if your child is a noisemaker in school, just know that that's what he is in the house. I don't know how you want to say it. But then, okay, another thing is, okay, rather than just beating the child, because that necessarily doesn't change the child, you can actually report the child to the parent. Come think of it to a teacher, and then you have 100 students, all of them are making noise, doing all sorts of things you don't like. And then today you now decide to be angry, and then you beat up a child, and the child just collapses there. What would you actually, there's no amount of explanation that you would give a mother that, okay, she carried her child for 9 months, and then all of a sudden, you are telling her after beating the child because she made noise or she was making noise, something happened. I won't take that. Do you get? And also, if I were to be a mother tomorrow and then my child comes back and like, this auntie beats me. Why? I was making noise, no problem. Tomorrow you come back again, like you keep beating my child. I would actually dress up and go to school because I need to know your problem. Let's try and sort it out. And okay, I think this new generational schools actually they want teachers a lot.
Yeah.
I know of somebody that's working in a school, and then the owner of the school will tell you, once your child misbehaves, I'm expelling the child. Not because we cannot address it, but because I'm trying not to inflict any future damage that you say, oh, it is my school that caused it, then you now come and sue my school. So everybody is actually trying to play safe. So if there's a problem, they report to the parent. If the child keeps repeating it over and over, they expel your child from school. I mean, what would you gain if it would be a shame if maybe primary 1, primary 2, you hear that you've expelled your child, when the child has not even started life. So like I said, charity begins at home. You have to learn and try and keep praying to take the grace of God to do all of this. You keep trying and keep, instilling good morals to the child. You tell the child, stay away from bad friends. If these people are making noise to read book, carry your books and read. If they are not doing something that is really benefiting, probably you should just sleep. Whenever they are ready, they will start. So all of these things really goes a long way, because you really don't know if the child has any impending illness, if the child, you can't really say anything about the child. So if you hit the child and something happens, still tomorrow, this is Nigeria, you are wrong. You don't even have a say. Because somebody who carried the child for 9 months won't even want to hear, I just touched the child, they be like, oh, I just tried to, and then something else went wrong. So my answer, new generational schools these days are very, very careful. They don't want a mini devil as a teacher on the staff, and at the same time, they don't also want children that will be very rebellious. If for any reason the child is misbehaving, they call the parents, and if there is no remedy, or if the child is still doing the same thing consistently, they expel the child.
See, so I was surfing on Instagram yesterday, and then I saw a post where the poster reached out to Tunde Ednot and Mr. Dog that in my school they think that Malians are people who don't wear pants to school and don't wear belts to school and they are badly behaved, ill-mannered, blah 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 blah. But they need to call out Naira Marley, sorry. They need to call out Naira Marley to address this, to make people believe that he's not actually a bad person. So like they're just his fans. So people shouldn't say because they're his fans, they're ill-mannered. They say Malians only wear belts, that kind of thing. So they believe it's a cult. Once you say you're a Malian, they term you as a bad person. So in that person's school, the poster school, they flogged a couple of people because they are Malians. Fans of Mali. So what do you think? Do you think it's wrong? What do you think?
Okay, so me, I'm not really an entertainment person, so honestly I can't relate. But then I would say to me, that's not enough reason. It's a different case if the child comes to school without belt and is sagging, or exhibits physical behaviors or traits, and then when you now try to caution the child is like, I'm a Malian. that one is an entirely different scenario. But in a case where they just said it, and then you look at the child is still unveiled, child is still looking prim and proper. I mean, that's the wrong way to go about it. Whatever. That's the wrong way to go about it. I think they could have just done better by, having this talk, or like I said, reaching out to their parents to be sure, because you are what you feed yourself. Like, it depends on what you constantly feed yourself. I came across a post one day where they were saying I'm having great business law is a graduate. I mean, I can't verify the authenticity of that particular information. But like I said, you are what you feed yourself. Are you just listening to the music for entertainment purpose, or are you now trying to practice it? That one nobody said to you. You are very responsible for whatever you choose to do. But like I said, they would have just reached out to their parents. Flogging them wasn't enough reasons. I mean, if I were to put myself in that shoes and my child comes back and they flog me because I said I'm married, I'll need to revisit the school and let's make sure that everything is fine. So that's
in case of Mariam, as you can see, Mariam. But it depends on the orientation.
Yeah.
What do you have to offer? If you are following a valid school skill, is a graduate, it's not fixed to it. He's an entertainer. He's doing what is aligned with his work.
Okay.
So you as a child growing up, saying that you're Mariam and you have nothing to show up, if police stop you now and you raise your ID, what do you do? The money. You end up somewhere you don't even want to. Because the thing is about you orienting yourself. If I grow up now, I won't go without my ID card. Let's not. So because you don't know who you meet. Fine, they said you be addressed the way you address. If I'm going out of this environment, I dress well. Like I don't put on anything, even with my hair. And when you come to me, you address me well. I'll address you also. So you being a Malian doesn't stop you from doing the right thing.
Yeah.
You get? So the word Malian safe, it's just like the slang he uses for his music.
People from Mali.
Yes. So if you are adopting that name to yourself and you are not even achieving what he is achieving, then what are you? Just a dirty Malian now. So
That's deep.
very, very deep. So if you want to be a Malian, be the wise one. Be the wise man. Don't just use up people's name. You don't know why that person is using that name. Don't call yourself a Malian when you don't have something to be.
Yeah, another thing I've actually noticed with these Nigerians, when you hear a story, they actually just, they filter it. They don't even go back to get the full information about whatever they heard. They just, pick out whatever they see, or probably the first sentence, and then they live their lives based on that. I'm like, okay, like I had this friend, or I have this friend, and then, he's always talking, he read this book, he read that book, he did this, he did that. I'm like, okay, after reading the book, what have you actually done with that knowledge? Because to me, I feel you reading it and acquiring the knowledge has made no meaning, except to put whatever you have read into practice. You don't just have to, before you say you want to come and advise somebody or preach to somebody or say anything to a person, you should make sure that whatever information you are meting out has actually been useful to you in one way or the other, and you can use that experience to guide whoever that person is. Well, in Nigeria of today, I mean, everybody goes with the flow, everybody moves with the crowd. Malians are reading now, so I should be a Malian. There are some people you actually walk up to and like, okay, you're a Malian, do you even know the history of the name or who even invented the name? And they'll just look at you like they are very lost, and I'm like, okay, so you can see that the problem is actually the way people acquire the knowledge or how they digest whatever information they have.
Yes, so
Come forward.
So I'll say, with all that we've said, we've come to a conclusion that beating a child doesn't actually change a child. To an extent, you can beat a child, but don't overdo it.
Just put the level of fear.
Yeah, exactly. Correctly love. You don't have to beat a child. The child doesn't have to scream for 3 houses after your house to hear you. Just correctly love. instill love. Love is just everything. I mean, let the child feel love, be emotionally attached to the child. The child doesn't have to cry before he realizes it's wrong. Connection is very,
That
very
really
important.
easily penetrate
Yeah.
into that body.
Thank you, Alex, once again for your
Okay,
invitation.
thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you.